So here I have 3 awesome speed pads that I've been checking out for the past month. The Freefall Hauspad collab, aka the Hauspad, the InfinityMice Ruin, and lastly the Artisan Raiden in Soft. To start the roundup, I briefly want to talk about the speeds of these pads and mainly why I don't have any measurements shown in this video. I tested the friction properties with my digital force meter, but since these pads are so similar in surface feel, I couldn't get any meaningful differences on the measurements between these pads. To get some, I imagine I would need some actual lab equipment, but in actual use these pads feel somewhat different, and the surface material is actually different between these pads. So let's start with the Hauspad. To best describe the Hauspad it is what you get when you implement a Raiden-like speed surface to the hard silicon base of the FreeFall Manufacturing Group. The SV base is the same as on the FreeFall SV base control, so it doesn't have any give whatsoever, and it creates a static electricity bond with your surface to keep the pad in place. When the pad has settled to your desk, it really doesn't move at all, and you notice how strong the bond is when you lift the pad up from your desk and hear that nice crackling sound from the static electricity. The first batch of the Hauspad is 450 x 450 size. That works for me, but I'm sure some of you want a larger size. Haus has mentioned to me, however, that a 500 x 500 size batch is coming in the future in a more limited way. So if you require more space, be on the lookout for that. The stitching on the Hauspad is pretty much on the level of the surface, and it is super dense and super consistent. Branding is very minimal, that I absolutely love, and it has this small Freefall Haus logo in the lower corner. It is, in my opinion, a very clean looking pad with an exceptional build quality overall. The surface material is very smooth fabric with a very fine horizontal lines and a very small micro texture. The hard SV base really brings out the texture of this fabric, and the result is very interesting speed-wise. At first, the pad will feel pretty fast, but with that texture you will get some stopping power, especially when you apply some extra force to your mouse. The static friction is also pretty low on the pad, but it won't feel as slippery as the other 2 pads in this video. Even when you put some extra pressure to your mouse, the initial friction still remains low, but you get some nice additional control. It is still not muddy, however. The cool thing about this SV base is that the friction is very proportional to the amount of force you put on your mouse, and you can adapt pretty quickly to the speed of this pad. In actual use, I feel like this pad is the most controlled of these 3 pads in this video, but I would still categorize it as a speed pad. As for the sleeve compatibility with the surface, I get some interference with pretty much every sleeve I have, especially in horizontal movements. But for example, the pulsar sleeve works pretty nicely, and the tuck is not something that hinders my arm movements. I haven't really felt the need to use a sleeve on this, however, since it seems to work in humid environments pretty nicely. As for the skate compatibility, dot skates have the tendency to pick up some sort of bumps from the base, and I feel like it's those small Freefall logos on the base that I'm feeling occasionally through the surface. With a larger pad style skates, I don't have that problem at all, and those are what I would recommend you to use with this pad. To wrap this pad up, it is a truly super consistent speedy pad that I believe a bunch of people will like. Especially in tracking heavy games, this pad excels at, and I have a feeling that those who like the Raiden mid will love this pad also. So it has the potential to be a really good aim trainer pad in a sense. Tag shooters is something that I don't play myself, but Haus has been using this pad in CS2, so I believe this pad will work on those games too. It is a speeder pad, however, so you might need some time to adjust if you come from a QCK type of pad. Also, if you are someone who wants the pad to give some cushioning to your arm, this pad doesn't really offer any since it is a hard base, but I'm very positively surprised about this pad, and it is truly one of my current favorites. Then we have the InfinityMice Ruin in this 490 x 490 size, and the first thing you notice is the gorgeous art that is printed on this pad that I'm pretty sure my camera won't do full justice. There is just so much beautiful detail going on with this art, and they really have managed to capture the depth of this artwork to a flat surface that in person just looks incredible. The pad is 4mm thick and has their custom IPU base with the nice InfinityMice logos on it. The softness is around the same as Artisan Soft, maybe a tad softer, but it has some nice rebound to it. The stitching is very consistent and it sits nicely just below the surface so your arm doesn't feel it in use at all. Overall, the quality of this pad is also fantastic. As for the speed characteristics, the pad feels a lot like the Raiden in use. If we're splitting hairs here, I would say it is like a tiny bit slower than the Raiden in soft, but the difference is really so little that I can't be sure I would be able to tell the difference in a blind test. The static friction is very low and some may feel it's a bit slippery, but you know, that is what you get with a speed pad, and that is really one of the main selling points of speed pads. Dynamic friction is also very low, and yeah, it is a fast pad. The surface has a bit more texture than the Raiden, which is something that you don't really feel with a bare hand, but is something that a sleeve will pick up. So with this I also got some interference with sleeves, and with this even the pulsar sleeve has some horizontal tuck, but yeah, personally I haven't needed to use sleeves on this at all, and because of the larger size I don't even feel my arms sticking on my desk either, so because I can just put the pad closer to the edge of my desk. So to wrap this pad up, this is an amazing speed pad and really an awesome alternative to the Artisan Raiden. Definitely one of the best speed pads in the market currently, and with the design that I'm sure many people will find super appealing. Then lastly, I'm gonna briefly talk about the Raiden Soft that I picked up a while ago. There isn't a lot to talk about it really, since it is the tried and true king of speed pads that you can now get also with a soft Japanese Poron base. I previously used my Raiden X Soft a lot, and when this thing dropped I knew I had to get one, since the Artisan Meat base really doesn't seem to stick on my desk well, but the soft does. And yeah, the soft base really suits the surface of the Raiden well. It gives me just enough plushiness and comfort without the feeling of skates sinking into the pad too much. The surface is still the very speedy Raiden surface that offers a very low static and dynamic friction. The Raiden surface is the smoothest of the three on this video, and with sleeves it really does work the best. Only sleeve that has some interference is the pulsar sleeve on the vertical movements, but something more spandex like, for example this sleeve from 4114, will glide on this surface very freely. The stitching, the base, everything is just superb in quality, and I really got no bad things to say about this pad. So yeah, I can definitely recommend the Raiden in soft, especially if you already have the X Soft but are looking for a bit more firmer experience without the downsides of the mid base. So these three are my picks for the top speed pads right now. If someone would put me at gunpoint and told me that you can get only one pad, I would probably pick the Freefall Hauspad, use the SV base as a gun shield, pick the other two also, and then run for my life, because I really like all these three pads so much. But that is it for this video. Thanks for watching and see you on the next one. Goodbye.